Who is the toughest matchup for every fighter in each UFC men's division? Well, today, guys, that's what we're going to be working out. I've got the fighters who I think are the toughest matchup, the most likely to beat the current champion in every weight class. I've got their image all around the screen, and I'm going to drag and drop them one by one into their weight class and explain and give my opinion on why I think they are the toughest matchup in the division, and why I think they give the champion the biggest run for their money to potentially steal the belt off them. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this video. We're going to start off from lightest and we're going to work our way through to the heavier divisions, obviously finishing at heavyweight. So without further ado, flyweight, the 125-pound division, Alexandre Pantoja is the current champion. And I think Manel Kape has the biggest chance to beat him. Now, obviously, Manel Kape has bigger issues to worry about, such as being able to make the flyweight division weight limit of 126 pounds, because he currently can't do that, which is embarrassing. And I do know that Pantoja has a win over him. However, Manel Kape, seeing if he can actually manage to make weight and fight, he seems to be improving. He's still relatively young for a flyweight. He's 30. Alexandre Pantoja, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's over 34 years old, or he is 34, or he might even be 35. I don't know. It's around that age. So basically what I'm trying to say is he's on the older end for a flyweight, and he's not going to be improving much. We've seen he's at the peak of his skill, and he's not really going to get any better than he is now. Furthermore, he takes a lot of damage every fight, so I don't really think this is going to be one of them things where all of a sudden Manel Kape's just so much better than Pantoja. I just think injuries, damage and age are going to get the better of Pantoja sooner or later, and I think Manel Kape's still going to be young, he's going to be fresh, and this dude's still getting better. He will be a different fighter than the first fight, and I think he would just about manage to scrape he managed to scrape a win over Pantoja, and maybe claw the later rounds back 4 and 5, because Pantoja does have a cardio problem and he's sloppy. His ground game is really high level, but he is sloppy on the feet. He's there to be hit. He just kind of trusts his chin a lot, but he's taking a lot of damage, and as he gets older, he's not going to be able to trust that as much. So we'll just have to see. But that is my pick for flyweight. But again, I think Pantoja's the best in that division right now, so it's a hard one to pick. So take that with a grain of salt. Moving on to bantamweight, the 135-pound division. I've gone for Merab. Now, Merab does beat Sean O'Malley. I'm fairly confident. I definitely would pick him in that matchup. However, I think Sean O'Malley has pretty much a really solid chance against every other fighter. I just think Merab's a really, really nightmare matchup for him. I think he would win about 8 out of 10 times if they fought. Primarily just because it's like Sean O'Malley's nightmare style, someone who just relentlessly goes for takedowns and has unlimited cardio. That's pretty bad. Merab's got an okay chin, so he's fine to dive in and basically avoid the stand-up exchanges, because Aljo was a bit hesitant to shoot, and he didn't want to go in there crazy, and it ended up costing him. Like I predicted, Sean O'Malley would knock him out in round 2, and that's exactly what happened. And Merab he fights a lot differently to Aljo. He's way more aggressive than Aljo, and his cardio is better, and even if he can't keep him down, he'll just relentlessly shoot. I can see this fight in my mind just being an absolute snooze fest. 5 rounds of Merab just continually taking Sean O'Malley down, and Sean lands like one good strike every single round and just can't find the finish because he has no opportunity to, because he's just constantly getting dragged to the ground by Merab. So yeah, it'd be a really boring fight. Let's be honest, it's probably how Sean's going to lose the belt if he wins his next matchup against Marlon Vera, which I think he will. Merab's probably going to get a title shot after that. I don't know. Dana White seems to hate him, so we'll have to see what happens there. But that may be the unfortunate end of Sean O'Malley's reign. So if I was him, I would be ducking that matchup very hard. Moving on to featherweight. Well, Volk. Now, obviously, Volk has been tied up in his last 2 fights at lightweight. Oh, no, sorry, he hasn't. He's had 2 fights at lightweight. He had a fight in between with Yair and showed that he's still the best heavyweight. However, he has just suffered a brutal knockout loss, which is a bit worrying for his health, to be honest, because it was pretty hard kick from Makhachev, and then there was some nasty follow-up strikes. And, seeing a guy that never gets put away like that is pretty crazy. And it just has me wondering if it's a good idea to come back in 3 months-ish, 4 months-ish, and fight like one of the most powerful, quick boxers, you know, because that is basically what Ilia Topuria is primarily. In my eyes, I see him as a boxer, and the dude's got really good boxing. He, you know, he kicks as well sometimes, but his bread and butter is he's got very fast hands. I think he's quicker than Volk. He's definitely quicker than any lightweight, and considering he's a weight class below the lightweights, he's powerful. He's just as powerful as most of them. You know, this guy packs power. He's precise, and I think that's what makes him dangerous for Volk. I just think quite a bad matchup to come back to after having your chin cracked. So we'll have to see if Volk's chin holds up, and we'll find out very soon because he will land on Volk. If Volk's going to win this fight, he's got to use his entire skill set. Definitely used to take it to the ground and try and gas Topuria, because Topuria has slowed down in later rounds, but you know, in those first 2 rounds, Topuria is very lethal. Am I saying he's going to go and annihilate Volk? No, I'm just saying he can catch him. He's there to be hit Volk. You know, he's not the perfect stand-up fighter, as we know, and yeah, he has vulnerabilities in his game. And if he's not careful with Topuria and he overlooks him, I think he could well be getting knocked out within the first 2 rounds. I think that's when Topuria is most dangerous. He knows that. I'm sure Volk knows that. And yeah, he has a very good chance at getting the upset win over Volkanovski with a vicious KO. So yeah, that is my pick for that fight. Moving on to the lightweight. Now, Islam doesn't really have a nightmare matchup because Islam is definitely the best lightweight, okay? He's going to be the favourite in every fight at lightweight he ever fights, I can imagine, unless some crazy circumstances happen. But I've gone for a bit of a rogue pick here. This one's a bit of a meme pick. But the fact of the matter is, I couldn't really decide because I was going to pick Gaethje. But again, we know that Gaethje has huge flaws in his wrestling, even though striking's lethal. So as soon as that fight hits the mat, Islam's practically won it already. So I went for a bit of a different pick. I went for Michael Chandler, because Chandler is really stupid at fighting. However, I feel like that first round would be a dangerous one for Makhachev, because hard to game plan for Chandler, and also he's kind of hard to take down. He's got quite a good build for it, okay? He's very heavy and he's short, which is, I mean, would he get arm triangled by Makhachev? Very possible. We've seen him do that to guys that have similar builds. But I just think in those first 2 rounds, Michael Chandler is actually very dangerous. And, this guy's fearless. He will actually just go in and try and get the finish. And he'll just try and brawl with Islam. And I think if you're, at a skill disadvantage, which, let's be honest, Michael Chandler isn't as good as Makhachev skill-wise, you've got to make up for it in other ways. Michael Chandler knows that. And if he goes in there and tries to make it a fist fight, make it scrappy, he's got a lot of power. He's one of the hardest hitting lightweights. And he could very well find Islam's chin, because we've seen his chin get cracked before by Adriano Martins very long time ago now. So yeah, Islam Makhachev does not have an iron chin. He doesn't have a bad chin either. But if anyone's going to be able to crack it, it'd be Michael when he dives in with his crazy moves. But I could see him easily throwing this fight, and I would not be picking him to win it. But he's got a solid chance. He's got a puncher's chance. He's got more than a puncher's chance. But yeah, give me Michael Chandler as my meme pick for lightweight. Moving on to welterweight. Again, I think Leon is the best right now. A lot of people aren't going to like that. Some people think he's boring and stuff. I think he's a good fighter, to be honest. I don't think he's terribly boring. His last fight wasn't exactly the most exhilarating, though. But I've gone for Shavkat. No, I don't think Shavkat would actually beat Leon. I just think he'd give him his best run for the money in the division right now. I think he'll beat Bilal quite comfortably. Now, I don't think Shavkat beats him, but I think it'll be a tougher fight than his last few, because the reason being is that Shavkat on the feet is fairly dangerous, and we know he's pretty legit on the ground too. But I just feel like Shavkat won't look as good against Leon, because Leon's Leon, and Shavkat's best win, I mean, I know he's beaten Wonderboy now, but he grappled him. So if you're gonna grapple Wonderboy, it's gonna be an easy win. Even if you're not, if you're a terrible fighter who's decently good at grappling, you can actually beat Wonderboy as long as you just like Marab it. But Shavkat kind of went for that style, which is fair enough. Easiest way to win without taking minimal damage. However, I feel like he won't be able to do that to Leon. I think Leon's wrestling's really good. His takedown defense is really good, and he gets up so well. And I feel like on the feet, I mean, we've seen, against Jeff Neal, Shavkat is there to be hit. And, Leon is the guy to hit people like when they're there to be hit. Such a good counter striker, so precise, accurate. This guy's got literally knows every trick in the book. Just such a complete arsenal of abilities. And he's just such a well-rounded fighter. I think he's just more well-rounded than Shavkat. Because to me, Leon is probably top three strikers in the game right now, if not like the top striker right now. And not that lethal, though, I will admit. Just is a extremely good striker. However, Shavkat, though he's a great striker, he's sloppy at times. He's there to be hit. We've seen him wobbled multiple times in the Jeff Neal fight, and I see him almost got put away on the regional scene, which is never a good look. However, having said that, Leon nearly did get finished by Nate Diaz, but I will put that down to complacency because he was finding the fight so easy and completely took his head out of it, but that's his fault. But yeah, so that's my pick for that. I do think Leon would win, but I think it would be a pretty close fight. I think Shavkat would get a solid 2 rounds, and he'd land some pretty crisp shots on Leon. He's a dangerous dude, and if I was Leon, I'd be trying to fight this guy as quick as possible, just so he can improve more, and beat him. Then and just say I don't need to fight him again for ages now. I've beaten him. So yeah, moving on. Middleweight. I've gone for Dricus. Now they're fighting in a week's time, so I guess we'll find out if this was correct then. But Dricus has a very good chance of beating Sean. I think it's 50-50. I'm picking Sean to win, but I would not be surprised whatsoever if Dricus wins. Very bad matchup for Sean in some senses of Dricus is kind of anti-Philly shell in the way that he charges forward, so it's harder to Philly shell someone who's coming like directly at you towards you, because Adesanya will never really do that. He quite likes standing still when he throws, or just walking backwards even, because he's got long arms, and Dricus over swings, which does seem to be a bit of a hard counter for the Philly shell. And obviously he's very strong and powerful, so he's very dangerous in rounds 1 and 2. And Sean Strickland doesn't have a bad chin, but his chin isn't great either. So that is that, and I guess we'll find out. But like I said, this is a very coin flip fight, guys. It's going to be a good one for sure. I can't wait for it. But yeah, so that's Dricus, and I guess we'll find out in a week's time. So, this Saturday, we'll all know. Moving on to light heavyweight. Alex Pereira is the champion. It's Magomed Ankalaev. Now, Magomed Ankalaev will very likely beat Pereira if he gets that matchup. I don't know if he's going to get the next matchup, but I'm sure he will be fighting for the belt. Maybe the one after. I think Alex is probably going to want to fight Jamal first, because that's a very winnable matchup for him, and he knows that. Whereas Ankalaev is clearly the tougher matchup, just because very anti-Alex Pereira style in the fact that he's got good takedowns and he's got solid ground and pound, and he's got really good top control, and once he's got hold of you, it's going to be very hard for a dude like Pereira with limited grappling experience, only joining MMA in the last 3 years or so, compared to a guy who's been wrestling since he's very young and primarily is a wrestler, to take you down. And obviously it's just a recipe for disaster when you're against a guy like Pereira. And also, Ankalaev's dangerous on the feet. The dude's got really good boxing. His kickboxing isn't amazing. He can throw the odd leg kick, and that's like good for him. But he's actually got good boxing, which is why I think he would do well against Pereira. Even on the feet, he'd do okay. Because Pereira sometimes is there to be hit in boxing exchanges. And Pereira's boxing isn't as good as his overall kickboxing and striking. It's one of the weaker aspects. But you see that a lot with kickboxers, because they're so reliant on kicks and stuff and being in different ranges. You see it with Adesanya. His boxing kind of got exposed by Strickland when they fought. But, Pereira's always there for that left hook. So, Ankalaev would have to be very careful on the feet. I think he would try and take him down because, it's just safer for him. However, I'm pretty sure he did make an announcement recently that if he gets the title fight now, he wouldn't take down Alex Pereira. I doubt it, but if that's true, and he promised that, and he actually stuck that promise, give him the title shot, because I'm there for that. Because the dude's actually a brawler. I've got mad respect for him, and he's got a wicked KO over Johnny Walker last weekend. So yeah, props to Ankalaev. I actually think the dude's a fun fighter to watch, and he actually brings it every time he fights. And some people label him as boring, but he's not boring to me. I don't think he's a boring fighter. Moving on, John Jones. His nightmare matchup is USADA and the NYPD. They will continually plague him and haunt him for his life, and that is his matchup. Thanks for watching, guys. No, I'm kidding. It's Tom Aspinall. Now, real MMA fans who aren't coping hard know that Tom Aspinall will beat John Jones if they ever fought. And the thing is, I don't think they're going to fight because John Jones is ducking him hard on social media. Everyone go on Twitter and have a look and laugh at the comments because they're all just, even Jones like fanboys are turning on Jones because they're like, oh yeah, this guy's actually scared of Tom Aspinall because he is. And before everyone comments, why would he be scared? Because he's better than him and he knows it. He's bigger. He's got good boxing. He's actually the same size as John Jones. He can grapple, unlike Cyril Gane. And in fact, I think Tom Aspinall's got better jiu-jitsu. You know, his dad's a jiu-jitsu coach. He's grown up around jiu-jitsu. And I rate his wrestling as well. So I think he's quicker than Jones as well. And he's certainly got more power than Jones, that's for sure. John Jones's punches are not actually... He's got the most overrated, like, danger lethality when it isn't an elbow. His punches... He's never knocked anyone out in it with a punch in his entire career. Tom Aspinall has literally knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, who has not only a good chin, but was on a 6-fight knockout streak. And yeah, I just think it's a nightmare matchup for him. He's young, he's hungrier than Jones, he's got less money, he just wants to win more and do everything for his legacy. And that is why I think John Jones will continue to duck him and never fight him. I don't think it's going to happen. If it does, I'll be very surprised. And I would look forward to it because it would be the fight that John Jones finally loses. But hey, he won't fight him. He wants a Stipe fight. So yeah, taking the easy way out there. But oh well, what can you do? Ducking. So yeah, that is my list, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Comment down below if you've got any different opinions or who you think should be another nightmare matchup, because there's plenty. You know, people have multiple nightmare matchups in a division. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next